Hello and welcome to this webinar. My name is Paul Lees and I'm the founder of Besbin Labs, and we're the developers of Patronum, a Google Workspace application.
You might want to check the connection settings in the
With Patronum, we help organizations manage their Google Workspace. And in this particular session today, what we're going to talk about is Google Contacts. And we're going to explore two specific ways in which we can share those Google Contacts. Now, one of the things that we really need to discuss is, what do we mean by Google Contacts? So within Google, there are at least three areas that I'm going to talk about today where you can have contacts within your Google environment. And those are the Google Workspace directory, those contacts in the directory. Google calls them those domain contacts. A contact is something that is available from a type ahead perspective when you're in Gmail. These contacts are the users inside your Google Workspace environment. They will typically be the employees of the organization or any other external individuals that have access to your Google Workspace environment. The other types of contacts that you can potentially have in your workspace environment, the external contacts, or as Google calls them, domain shared contacts. Now, these contacts are in a separate part of the Google directory, and they are only accessible via tools such as Patronum or the Google API. And indeed, tools like the Google Cloud Directory Sync tool can also populate contacts in the Google Domain Shared Contacts section. And these external contacts, or the domain shared contacts, are available within the Google type ahead environment. And if you configure the Google Workspace admin console, they can also be available to your end users in the Google Contacts interface. And again, we're going to show you how you can utilize domain contacts within your organization, or domain shared contacts within your organization. And then lastly, the most common area when people talk about Google Contacts are my contacts. So these are the contacts that you can see in the Google Contacts at contacts.google.com. And so we're going to kind of walk through those particular areas, and then we're going to show you exactly how you can share different types of contacts with your users, or with a subset of users. Okay, so let's just jump straight into a demonstration. So let's minimize that. And as you can see, this is the Google Contacts environment. But first of all, I want us to have a look at the Google admin console. Just going to log in here into our Google admin console, and we're going to have a look at the directory settings inside the Google Contacts. So the first thing that we're looking at here is inside the admin console, we've got the directory. We can expand the directory, and we go to directory settings. In here, we've got an interface where there are two options, and in the contact sharing section, there is information and settings that allow you to change the default functionality of how your Google Contacts will appear to your end users. So let's just ignore the top section for a moment, but as you can see, it just allows you to change the information that is being shown to your external, to your users through the Google Contacts interface. I want us to focus a little bit on the what's browsable when you select the directory option inside the Google Contacts interface. And so the options that we have here are to show domain profiles. Those are the defaults. Those are the end users inside your Google directory. You class them as the real users, the employees of your organization. You could, if you wanted to, just display the domain shared contacts to your users, and these could then be displayed in the Google contact system. Or alternatively, you could have a combination of both of these particular options. I'm mentioning this because this is an area that quite a lot of our customers don't fully explore or fully understand the differences between domain profiles, domain shared contacts, and how they can be displayed to end users. So if we enable any of these options, the contacts will be displayed in the directory setting or the directory area inside our Google Contacts environment. And so these are all the contacts inside our Google directory. And if we'd enabled the domain shared contacts option, the additional domain shared contacts will be available inside this part of the application. Okay, so now that we've cleared up all the different types of Google Contacts, we're going to jump straight into Patronum, and we're going to talk about how we can create functionality and configurations in order to share contacts from one user to another. And so let me bring the screen up here so we can see all of the interface. My recommended approach when it comes to sharing contacts is to do this via what we call a policy. Now I can create a policy by clicking on the Add Policy button, but I've got plenty to use as an example. So a policy is our workflow environment, and this is where we can dynamically create functionalities, configurations, so that we can automatically provision contact sharing to people based on the role, the department, job title, etc. And we do that through both the conditions section and the filter section here. So inside the conditions section, we can specify, do we want this particular policy to be applied to every single user in our Google organization? Or do we want to limit this to a subset of users? Maybe we want to apply it to an organizational unit. Maybe we have some service accounts in a organizational unit that we don't want to apply the policy to. Maybe we want to just test this with a particular group of users. Once I've defined which users we're going to be working with, we can narrow down our criteria by our filters, and we can use any particular status or attribute inside the Google directory to help us narrow down this particular policy. So it'll only affect people in, let's say, a particular department, or maybe we're interested in people with a particular job title that we want to share some contacts with. Now we've then defined the policy and who it's going to be applied to. From a contact sharing perspective, we can go to the contact section and we can then decide which labels or which contacts we would like to share with the users within this particular policy. And as we've got here, we've got a number of options and configurations in this particular policy. So the first option that we're going to talk about is our directory contacts. So as I mentioned before, directory contacts, directory profiles, profile users, they're all the same thing. These are the real users inside our Google directory. And what we're going to do here is we're going to read the Google directory. We're going to take the contact information from our real users in the Google directory. We're going to copy those contacts to the Google contact system, and then we're going to apply this particular label. So by default, it's directory contacts, but we can change this to be whatever we wish. Maybe we want a marketing label. I put a hash in front so it becomes at the top. Now, if I just want the contacts from the directory from the marketing department, I would click on the advanced filter option. and then select Next. Again, using the attributes in the Google directory, we can then go through and say we're looking for anybody in the marketing department. And so what Patronum will then do is it will read the Google directory. It will have a look at all of the contacts in the Google directory that match the department with the word marketing in it, and it will take those contacts and copy those contacts to the user's Google contacts and then apply the particular label that we've specified. Now, why would you do that? The main reason that our customers do this is from a mobile perspective. Now, let's say, for example, you've got a new member of staff who joins your organization. And one of the things that they want to do is they want to contact somebody in the organization for assistance. They're working from home, let's say. So they find somebody's number, they've got an Android phone, they bring up the contacts application, and they click on the person's details via the contacts app that they've got by logging into the Google contact system. The other individual will then receive a call from this new member of staff, but when they look at the phone, all they'll see is that a phone number has appeared on their device. They're not quite sure who it is, what they want, etc. Whereas if you push the contact details to the Google contacts, those contacts will also appear on the user's mobile device. Now let's have a look at the second option from a contact sharing perspective, and that's sharing contacts via a label. Now, again, this is quite useful if you have salespeople who want to exchange customer details with each other. Maybe you're a school and you want to have a central repository for auxiliary contact information, maybe the mailman, the people who service the water, maybe it's people who manage the cleaning services. All those things can then be pooled, managed by an individual, but also then distributed and give people edit ability to those particular contacts. And this is performed by going through, selecting a specific user. So let's select the administrator here, finding the label that we're interested in. So let's say it's a sales one and we're looking for people who have applied the hot leads label. We can then decide what permissions we would like to give the users within the policy. Maybe we want to just say, I'm controlling the contacts and we're going to push that out to people, or we're going to use it more of a hub and spoke scenario where everybody in the organization can edit those particular contacts. And so by saving that, as we've done here, those particular labels will then be added to the configuration. And then when the contact sharing starts, the contacts will be read from Paul's account and from Kieran's account. We'll look at these particular labels, and then we will take the contacts from those labels, and then we will share those labels and the contacts within them with the people from the particular policy. Now, our policies, so yeah, we would save that and then run it. So if I go back to the policy list here, we would then activate this particular policy. The policy would run. It would have a look at our Google directory, have a look at who are the users inside the Google directory. And it will then take the people from the policy and then share the labels with them from a configuration point of view. Now, let me show you where all of that information is then stored. So once the policy runs, if you then have a look inside the contacts section, inside the contact sharing, this is where the contact sharing configuration will be saved and stored, and then you can see when the last time a particular label was last synchronized. So as we can see, we've got a number of contact labels being shared here, and we've also got a number of directory contacts being shared as well. Our contact service runs every 24 hours. So once a day, we will be reading the contacts from either the Google directory, the domain contacts system, or an individual user's labels, and then sharing those contacts with everybody else inside the contact list. As I mentioned earlier on, we've also got the domain contacts. And I mentioned that inside Google, there's no way of managing or creating the domain contacts or domain shared contacts without using the API or without using the tools such as Patronum or the Google Cloud Directory Sync tool. So here in Patronum, this is where you can edit, create the domain shared contacts. We call them domain contacts because domain shared contacts was quite a mouthful, but here we have the domain contacts. And as you can see, we can create domain contacts, and these contacts will then be available in the type ahead of our users' Gmail and any other Google Workspace based application. Okay, so let me then just come back into our presentation and we'll just finish off the presentation. Okay, so not only does Patronum provide directory contacts and label contact syncing services, we also do a whole lot more. So there may be customers that are already sharing labels with other tools. We can replace those solutions and give you a whole lot more, such as user on and offboarding, email signature, again, the directory contacts is mentioned there. We've also got the ability to have Google Drive compliancy around the ability to check to make sure that your organization is not oversharing its data through Google Drive. And we also have the ability to manage Google Groups so that we make your Google Groups fully dynamic. Okay, and so that then just leaves me to say, what should we do next? If you're interested in finding out more, visit the website besbinlabs.com or patronum.io. Click on the schedule call and we can book a meeting in order to talk about how Patronum can help you address any of the Google Workspace challenges that you have inside your organization. So with that, I'll thank you for your time and hopefully I will speak to you on the next session. Thank you very much.